Let's so we're recording. We're going to start off from the floor and working up because that's quite a nice way to roll with the weights. So it might be fairly similar to the last session if you were there live. And here is Sandra arriving. What I will do is I will just make sure I spotlight me. So when we're ready, let's find our way onto the floor with our weights straight away. And we're seeing, welcome Sandra, we're seeing, can we find weight in one hand, pushing tool, extending that arm long, just feeling if you can, the power up through the arm, down through the shoulder. See here if you can draw the shoulder away from the ears, so you're just creating a long neck. And then we find a little bit of internal rotation with the hand and external rotation with the hand. So working that rotations, seeing if you can check in with the breath. Are you breathing through the nose? Which nostril are you breathing through? And then when we're ready to, seeing if we can push, if the weight's in the right hand, push into the right leg and roll onto the left side to find that lifting tool. So now sideways power, and maybe bring the right knee forward and just finding that place here, pushing up, pushing down. Maybe you can find how tall you can lift without lifting that left shoulder off the floor, and explore those rotations too here, internal towards the thumb, external towards the finger. And just seeing how far it's comfortable or okay to turn. Noticing if there are any places where you have to be, where it's a bit bumpy in the turn as well, in the twist and turn. And then we'll just gently roll back onto the back and try the same on the other arm, on the other hand. So just waking up that second arm. Finding that power up and down, grounding through the shoulder, long neck, breathing gently through the nose, rotating one way, rotating the other way, and again. And then seeing if you can find your way onto that side. So pushing that arm tall, bringing the knee in front once you're on the side. Just finding that power up and down, lifting that top shoulder as tall as you can. Again, exploring those internal twists as much as you can. External. Even if the movement's small, keep it safe. Just build awareness of being strong and some consistency and holding that, supporting that weight, so you're building endurance. And then we'll gently roll back onto the back. And we'll go back into the first arm again. And as we're in the first arm, see if you can find a little bit circles, small circles with that weight. Just exploring round, so you're just going slightly off midline. Seeing how much that's okay to work in both directions. And it doesn't matter how small those circles are. Trying to keep the arm as extended as you can, but keeping safe is more important, so you can bend the elbow. If that helps you keep it safe. All the time supporting through that weight. And then seeing again if we can roll onto that side. As we come onto the side, seeing again if you can explore maybe little circles here. Maybe this is harder, so you might just stay with those rotations, internal and external rotations, or circling that weight a little bit off that midline in different places, looking to smooth out. So if it's a lumpy circle, then with the weight that you're holding, you need to keep it small. If it's a smooth circle, then maybe you can begin to make the circles bigger. And once we've played with that, rolling back onto the back and going same on the other side. So lifting that first hand, second hand, sorry, pushing tall, finding that power. And then once we've grounded through the shoulder, just seeing if we can begin to explore off that midline. With a lighter weight, you might make really big circles. A heavier weight, it's fine to keep it smaller. You want to keep it safe. And just wake up the movement, supporting as much as you can. And back the other way. If you can, breathing still through the nose. And then finding your way onto the side, so pushing with the foot behind you, rolling onto the side, pushing tall as much as you can. If you can, knee in front of you, so maybe you're a little bit rolling to the belly, and then seeing how much you can circle. Again, looking for smooth. If circles here are too strong, maybe just holding the weight here is already got all the micro adjustments of balance. And changing direction. Looking for making that eventually smooth, even if at the moment it's lumpy, bumpy circles, difficult to make it around movement. And then slowly, when we're ready, coming back onto the back. And here we're going to place the weight on the foot. So we see going into the first foot. Can you find that nice and tall? And we're going to find point and flex, and point and flex on the foot. Just warming up that ankle action, seeing if you can ground through the hip, reaching that leg nice and long as far as you can. And then see if you could circle the ankle with that weight on. So you're just exploring around through a circular motion with the toes and circling in both directions. As you begin to circle the ankle, maybe you can exaggerate the internal and external through the hip. So you're getting this rotation in the hip, moving that whole leg with the point and with the flex. And then seeing if you can bring that bottom leg to extend it if it was bent before. And just seeing from here, if we can find a little bit extension through that lifted leg. So working in both directions, towards the head and away from the head. Towards the head and away from the head. Keeping it safe, if you can, trying to keep that leg extended all the way through. Just warming up those muscular actions. If possible, bottom leg can be extended so that you're working into a deeper split. And then once we've had a little play with that, let's just draw the knee into the chest and work on the bend. Trying to keep the shin vertical, get the belly towards the thigh towards the belly, and just seeing how deep you can go in. Let's just take a little moment with the hips square, the knee in towards the chest, so not going wide just yet, but seeing how deep you can get into the top of the thigh. Can you feel the leg working, sole of the foot up to the sky? How much can you draw that knee in? And then we'll just find pushing back long before we come in, and maybe we try to go a little wider. So here, the knee comes a little out to the side. Still, we're trying to keep that shin vertical, seeing how deep we could get that knee towards the armpit or towards the floor. And then slowly from there, we find our way all the way back up. Let's do the same on the other leg. So we just warm up the second leg with those same movements. So we've got this point and flex. with the foot, just seeing if you can point through the toes, and then think about pointing through the heels. So you're really getting that back line extension through the back body. Trying to keep the knee extended all the while, no bending that lifted knee if you can manage, so that you're working strong into these thigh muscles. And then we begin to circle the ankle. As we begin to circle that ankle, begin to circle into the hip, rotate into the hip as well. So you get that full movement in both directions round. So looking to be strong and working there. And then maybe beginning to extend that bottom leg down if you can. So we're working a greater distance between top leg and bottom leg. And then we begin to draw a little in towards the chest to stretch the hamstrings and pushing that leg away to work the thigh, feel strong only as far as you can go. Working again, a few more. Maybe beginning to take it a little deeper. If you can, lingering at those edges where it feels safe. And then we're drawing the knee in towards the chest when we're ready, trying to keep that shin vertical, the bottom part of the leg vertical. So we have to bend a bit the knee and bend at the hip. When we draw that knee into the chest, we're trying to keep those hips level as we draw that knee in. So we're trying to lengthen that. You've got the weight in the left leg, then lengthen that left belly as you draw that knee down. And then from here, we can go back up and then see if we can go down a little deeper and out to the side. Can you bring the knee towards the arm? I like to pull the leg down with the arms a little bit as well to come in. Also trying to extend that bottom leg. Doesn't matter if the bottom leg knee lifts a bit. You are trying one day to get that free leg extending all the way down, knee towards the floor too, both knees to the floor. And then we find our way all the way back up. And let's go into the first hand again. So as we place the weight into the first hand to give the legs a little bit of a rest, we're going to see if we can roll and twist. So we try to turn the fingers towards the thumb, and the elbow then is pointing out. When we bend it out towards the side, we try to bring the weight down as wide as we can or as high as we can away from the feet. And then we see from there, can we roll over onto that side body? And if we can manage, we roll onto the belly. You can hold the weight with both hands here. And you're seeing, can you get onto the belly? Can you then bring the chest down to the floor, elbows close together, and see how deep you can work? Maybe you can squeeze the bottom, trying to flatten out the shoulders, trying to work that chest down with a hollow spine. Get those armpits as close to the floor as you can. And then rolling back onto that first side, seeing if you can go back into the one arm. You can spot with the second arm if you need, but seeing from here, can you push back up? Nice and tall. And we're even going to roll onto the opposite side, so opposite shoulder. You're pushing really tall as you can. You can explore circles and rotations in any of these places. But see also if we could just build a few repetitions. So we come back wide when we're ready with that elbow, nice and wide, rolling onto the side. I've got the weight in my left hand, so rolling through that left side, back onto the belly, chest towards the floor, deep as you can. The elbows close together as much as you can. Doesn't matter if there's about a hand's width distance. And slowly from here, we're coming back onto that left side, back to push up to extended. See if you can do one more round, going all the way tall, all the way back onto the right side, pushing, reaching, steady, strong, extending. And then one more back onto that left side if you've got the energy. If it's too strong, feel free to come down sooner. Back onto the belly. Elbows clasp. Chest deep to the floor. Following the body. Back onto that left side. Back onto the right side. And then back onto the... And we'll say that will be enough. So 3-4 rounds. Pushing, reaching. So I'm feeling in my hand here, the hand begins to cramp. It's interesting. It's actually in the hand that's cramping, not in the forearm. And then to sort of let that relax. So to place the weight into the other hand and to repeat on the other side. So you see from here, can you find that tool? Strong. Weight for me is in the right hand. If you've changed the left hand, your left is right and right is left. We see, can we rotate that right hand inwards towards the thumb? Elbow comes wide up past the ear. Once the elbow comes down to the floor by bending the arm, we want to be rolling over that right armpit as low as we can to the floor. So you want that elbow as far away from you as possible. Then when you roll onto your belly, you're trying to get that left elbow close to the right. Again, to hollow the body down, to try to push those shoulders wide towards the floor. Chin or forehead towards the floor. Breathing. And then rolling back onto that right side after you've had a few breaths. Back onto the back. Can you push that weight tall? Back up to an extended right arm. From that extended right arm, can you roll onto the left side and push tall, extending up, lifting that arm off the floor, lifting that shoulder up. And then 2 more times, in fact, we roll back with control. Once you get back to the back, you have the elbow wide, overhead, onto the belly side, onto the right side, onto the belly. Chest deep towards the floor. So building that stamina, again rolling back over the side onto the back, lifting tall, pushing the leg behind. See how much you can build that stamina in the arm, reaching tall, steady long. And last one if you can. Twisting out to the side, right elbow comes overhead, rolling onto the belly. Elbows close together, chest deep to the floor. One more time to roll back onto the back, onto the opposite left side. Push that right arm long and tall. And then to find your way eventually back down to that neutral place. So here we're going to put the weight back on the legs when we're ready. Give the arms a little bit of a rest. Put the weight back on that foot. I've gone on the right foot. In case I choose right and left rather than weighted and unweighted. So right foot tall, left knee is dropping out to the side. Left knee's bent, dropping out to the side. And here we're rolling again onto the side. Can you find your way onto that left side that you roll inwards and you find that you can push that right leg tall as much as you can. So rolling, lifting that right bottom off the floor, leaning a bit to the belly side. And here just finding a point and a flex in the foot, seeing if you can work that balance. So a little bit rolling to a bit more to the belly than just onto the side so that you've got that little bit leaning into the bottom leg. And then seeing if you can find that extension. You could use the top hand to a little bit guide it, or you can use the top hand on the floor and use the strength in the leg and seeing how far you could hang that leg overhead. So you're resisting that stretch, but you're trying to let that thigh go close towards the belly. You're trying to let the weight go overhead as much as you can. Breathing. And then slowly back up to that sideways place. And if you can, then slowly rolling back onto the back. From here, we're going to see, can we bring the free leg, the left leg, close towards the bottom? And let that right knee come into the chest. And see from here, if you can press down into the hands behind, down into the foot behind to lift those hips off the floor. As tall as you can. Maybe you can push that top leg strong and straight. Maybe you want to keep that top leg a little bit bent. But the bottom leg is pushing down into the floor to lift the bottom up as tall as you can. And then slowly we find our way all the way back down, rolling down through the spine. Again, you might wish to bend that top leg to release down. From here, seeing if we can bring both knees into the chest, even though the weight is just in one leg, and seeing if we can let that weight go a little over the head so that we can hopefully quite easily begin to roll up through the spine. Roll up through the spine until you can get your hands to the back and pull the weight away from over the head. So you just find a neutral place to be into this sort of plow type position. And then from there, if you want to push the weights up to the ceiling, keeping those shins vertical, do. Or if it's enough just to have rolled up through the spine there, and then see if you can put the weight in the right place to roll the spine, the bottom back down towards the floor. And then let's try that on the other side. As you put that on the other leg. So weight is maybe on the left leg, or the right knee would be bent, the right foot close towards the bottom and the knee rolling out to the side. From here, we try to roll onto the right side so the left buttock comes off the floor and you begin to push that left leg tall. And finding that place where you can be grounded. So if it's difficult there, you might just stay working onto the side without going into further ado of trying to bring that leg over the head. It's already working strong on opening the hip. But if you want to go a little deeper, bringing that leg overhead as much as you can, so you begin to work into the effort of the leg, into the stretch. Maybe you can point the toes, extend that knee a little bit more. Letting that leg go, letting the weight push the leg in towards the body. Trying to receive that weight, at the same time resist to be strong. And once you've spent a bit of time there, seeing if you can find your way back to a sideways extended and then safely back onto your back. So here we pull that free leg, the right leg in close to the bottom. And we're seeing, can we let the left knee come in towards the chest a little bit? So bringing that weight a bit more over the head helps us begin to lift the bottom up off the floor. Here with the right foot behind, you have to press down, strong through the right leg. Once you're up, you might wish to extend that left leg. If you're feeling really strong, you might wish to go up with an extended left leg. Breathing, finding a little bit of stamina to hold, to maintain, to find endurance in the muscular action. And when you're ready to, just rolling all the way back down. So here, this bringing the knees into the chest, both knees into the chest. And then we see, can we open the back of the knee a little bit more? So we take that foot over the head and that begins to pull the bottom off the floor. We want to assist that with the hands to help roll up. And then we bring the hands to the bottom and you bring that weight a little bit back so it's not pulling you anymore. And then you're just trying to be underneath the weight. How much could you push that weight skywards, keeping it in control? And how much could you draw that weight back in? Knees into the forehead, weight over the bottom. Pretty much vertical through the shins. And then seeing if you can counterbalance to roll down through the bottom, through the spine. To release that bottom back down. And from there, we'll bring the weight back into the hands. We'll have another go with all of that in just a moment. First of all, placing the weight in the hands and seeing if we can bring that weight overhead towards the floor. See if you can find this hollow of the body. You're trying to press the lower back into the floor. And how close to the floor could you put the weight without actually putting it down? And here, hold and breathe. Can you feel that in the shoulders? Could you relax the shoulders away from the ears? Can you extend those legs and press that lower back down towards the floor? Do you need to keep the knees back? And then we lift that weight back up to this extended. And so that becomes a little bit of respite. See if you can push that lower back into the floor again and try and maybe you can go a little bit further away from the head. Again, just hovering the weight off the floor, trying to draw those shoulder blades wide, trying to find that lower back into the floor, space for the neck, long neck, breathing, feeling that resistance in the body. A few more breaths. Can you feel it even left side and right side? And then coming back when you need to that extended position. Maybe if you wanted to, you could rest the weight on the leg. Once you've had a little rest, we go one more time. Maybe you can go a little further over the head. Maybe just doing the same again is already strong enough. Further over the head would be extending those arms a little bit more. Still trying to keep the weight off the floor, just going close to the floor, reaching, engaging that belly, trying to ground the lower back. Getting the body working. And then coming when you need to back up to that extended arms. And from here, we're going to see, can we bring ourselves up to sitting? So if you can roll through the spine, try to bring the weight the same height. Keep the weight if you can about the same height. So try to reach the weight towards the hips. See if you can allow that to roll you up through the spine and bring the chest up to the weight. See how much you can lift the chest. And then see how much you can go back down in reverse. So you try to leave the weight where it is to roll down through the spine. And then you bring that weight back above the shoulders. Looking to smooth it out as much as you can. Again, weight forwards. Seeing if you can let that become a roll of the spine. I think you need a bigger weight, Imogen. Make it easier, yeah. And so this is the thing, if you have a heavier weight here, it will pull you more. But you have to have the strength to hold that. And it's, again, seeing if you can roll down, maybe you can keep the feet on the floor as you roll down. We go one more time to that first sitting position. So seeing how much you can roll up, using the weight to pull you, putting the weight into the right place, as much as you can. Lifting through the heart, through the chest, and then here we can find that extension, arms reaching tall, seeing how much you can find, push tall, long through those elbows as much as you can, open through the heart, through the chest. See if you can even find a back bend. You're trying to almost hang that weight behind the shoulders and send the heart, the chest forward. And then slowly from here, we come back in and then roll back down through the spine. Again, we'll go onto the leg. We see, can we find that rolling up through the spine, first of all, with a bridge. So for the weight's on the right leg, left foot is somewhere to the midline. Maybe you want to try and work a little stronger. Right leg extended, pushing that left leg down. Can you lift the chest towards the chin? How tall can you reach the bottom? If you wanted to make little circles with that weighted foot at the top to explore just off of that midline, keep the bottom lifted. If that's too strong, just lifting the weight and the bottom on the midline. Both directions if you're exploring circles, and then seeing if you can roll back down. Again, to see if we can take ourselves into a weighted shoulder stand. So that's to bring the knees into the chest, to open the back of the knee, to hang the leg over the head a tiny bit, to allow the bottom to be pulled light. Use the hands on the floor to roll up towards the shoulders. And from there, see if again you can push that weighted leg up towards the ceiling. If you feel controlled and balanced, feel free to take that weighted leg off of that midline, either in front or behind, but keep control. And again, maybe circles. And to safely find your way back down. When you're ready to, let's go on to the second side, second leg. For me, that's my left leg this time. So first place is to bring that free leg, the right leg down to the floor midline. If you want to try and lift the bottom with the weighted leg, extended. That's to push the bottom tall. If you need to bend the knee to feel safer, that's absolutely a great thing to do. Again, as you're lifted, working a bit of endurance, maybe even explore a few circles off that midline. Keeping the bottom as lifted as you can, looking for smooth circles. And eventually rolling back down through the spine. To see if we can roll up through the spine towards the shoulder stand. That's knees to the chest, and particularly the weighted leg. You open the back of the knee a little, taking that weight overhead till it begins to pull you up. Support with the hands on the floor, hands on the back. Get it into control, find that stack. Shins mostly vertical. Find that control, as close to vertical as you can be. And then if you want to build more strength and you feel in control, beginning to explore beyond little circles or just other variations up behind, maybe overhead. And to come back down with control, you draw the knee to the chest, knee to the forehead, and gently roll back down, using that counterbalance. So place the weight into one hand again and start with that elbow down close to the side. How close can you get the elbow into the side and the shoulder away from the ear? And just ground down there. See if you can close your eyes this time. So you're feeling those micro movements, those micro adjustments maybe. To stay working as gently as you can. And the reason to close the eyes would be to feel more. If the balance is really hard, you can keep the eyes open. If you can manage to close the eyes, to watch from inside. And then maybe again we push to long. So just holding that weight there for a while is building that stamina, feeling those micro adjustments. It's getting the arm tired. So again, if you're comfortable, closing the eyes, having that arm work strong, keeping it safe. Working into your endurance. And then once you've had a good workout with that one arm, going to the second side. Starting elbow close to the floor, close to the side. If you can, eyes closed. Just grounding, feeling those micro adjustments. How is it in your second hand? How does it compare? How much can you use the skeleton? So the power of that long bone in the forearm, those long bones in the forearm. Using the power of structure so you don't have to use a lot of muscular effort. If you can, with the eyes closed, so that you're feeling even more into those internal micro adjustments. Building that stamina. And once you've had a bit of time down with the elbow to the floor, seeing if we can push to long arm. You could with the eyes open or closed. If this feels less safe, then open the eyes. But if you feel okay here, again, closing the eyes allows you to feel the body from the inside, feel that stack, but keep it safe. First and foremost is safe. Try to find that line of power as best you can. Where can that weight just be pushing that forearm bones down into the upper arm bones, down into the shoulder, down into the floor. And the little micro movements are to keep it stacked on top of itself. So everything you just adjust, you work a little bit as muscles to keep it in the place. And eventually starts getting tired. And then slowly from here, we'll come back into two hands. With two hands, see if you can bring yourself back up to sitting. Maybe you can roll the spine. And once we're sitting, let's bring the legs wide. See if we can get as much width in those legs as we can. So we're going to bring the weight out in front of us. And we're going to try to find a place. So we're trying to pull the weight towards us, but we don't want the weight to move. So the heavier the weight, the easier. But you're also trying to push the weight down into the floor. And as we push that weight down into the floor, we begin to lift the chest up and forward. So we see, can we find that opening through that front spine, lengthening through the front of the spine, wherever that is, the chest coming up and forward in this engagement of under shoulders, side body to pull that weight down. And you see how far forward you can come with that. So if it's just a little bit and you're just finding the chest up and forward from here, and that's working already really strong, that's where you go. If you can come down deeper, bring the weight further forwards, the same action is still, you're trying to lose the angry cat of the spine and find it's a forward fold with a back bend one day. You're trying to lift the heart, the chest, trying to push that weight down into the floor. And seeing if you can get those inner thighs stretching and working. Maybe you can engage those thigh muscles and push the back of the knees into the floor. Can you lift the heart, lift the chest a little bit more? Can you lengthen the heart forwards? One day that belly is going to be the most down part of the body. One day that belly is going to touch the floor. Chest is still going to be lifting. Can you draw those shoulders wide and down? Breathing comfortably, breathing relaxed through the nose. Seeing if you can surrender down a little bit deeper. So maybe we fold in a little bit more to see if we can find a bit more down. See how much you can curl down from where you are. Let's bring the forehead towards the floor. As deep as we can. How much can you round? Feel into that, stretch into the back body. And then from that place again, see if you can lift the heart, the chest one more time, staying as deep down as you got, seeing if you can find lengthening a little bit forward. And then slowly from here, we find our way all the way back up. So with those legs wide, we're going to see, can we lift that weight to in front of the heart center? Can you find this lifting into the heart, into the chest up here? So here we're using it to arch the back, a little bit of a back bend, not a big back bend, but just to find you're slightly on front extension rather than on this hollow, rounding, rolling backwards. We're trying to lift into the heart, into the chest, pushing tall. And then from here, we might try to extend even longer. Here, you're still trying to be in that front extension if you can, and to find length into the belly, as tall as you can, pushing tall. And then we find our way back to where we were. So we're going to go side and side. And we're going to see, so if we can support the weight in one hand, we're going to go one hand long. If you want to do it without weight, you're welcome to just explore, then you can explore the length. Bottom hand is coming elbow to the floor or armpit towards the floor, behind the leg. Top hand is either supporting weight or stretching that top side of the body. So you can choose which way you go. If you're supporting weight, you try to keep the arm tall. You get that powerful and strong there, then you begin to soften down. You can use that bottom arm to support. You're trying to surrender, belly close towards the thigh, elbow close to the floor. If the elbow gets down to the floor, seeing could you go down deeper, armpit to the floor, still finding that up and down. Breathing. Again, all these things we've been working in that top shoulder, so these rotations are a nice place to keep that arm on the midline. Or if you want to explore and you feel you feel you're grounded enough to explore some circles, that takes us off of that midline, building strength into wherever we've gotten, wherever we're reaching. Let's find our way all the way back up. And slowly release that weight down. Let's go. We've all done with weight first time, so let's have one time without the weight, same side. So see if you can find, can you go into that memory of that first place? So down to the side, elbow, armpit to the floor. Now, can you take that top arm overhead as far as you can? And then from there, see if you could just twist towards, looking underneath the armpit to the ceiling, and then down towards the floor. Underneath the armpit to the ceiling, and down towards the floor. So it's like you're trying to twist the shoulders to look one way and then the other way all the time, trying to stretch that top arm long over the head as much as you can. And then we'll find our way all the way back up. Second side. See if you can, so as we work the other side, weighted first and unweighted. If it's a video class and you're doing the other way around, that's fine too. Seeing if you can find tall. Hand out to the side. You're trying to soften down towards the elbow or the armpit. And that arm there can give you lots of support, or you can try to move it out of the way to sink down deeper, pushing tall. Got the option of rotations, internal, external. Seeing where you can twist to, seeing how much you can twist, not just the hand, but the arm and the shoulder. Or circling the hand if you wish, or just staying there when you're balancing something, when you're staying in balance, all of those micro adjustments, and like we had when we were with the elbow on the floor, lying on our backs, we could even close the eyes and then you feel those micro adjustments even more. This is the stuff your body is doing just to stay in its equilibrium. And those micro adjustments are so powerful. Let's find our way back up when we're ready to release the weight down. So we'll take a second round without weight. And without weight allows us to reach into the extension. So we find that space down to the side. Maybe we're bending the elbow to try to, pushing into the hand to try to bring the elbow down to the floor, or the armpit down, sliding the arm away. If you're getting down to the elbow to one day get the armpit down, that top arm can reach long over the head to find that extension through the side body all the way. Here we can twist towards the floor. The twisting is the almost turning the spine, so the shoulder comes forward, then we twist towards the sky, that shoulder goes out behind, hand is still reaching overhead as far as you can to find that length in the body, but just to twist and turn it using some breath. And then slowly from here, we find our way all the way back. Let's go first of all, let's go the other way this time without weight first of all. So now we're going to bring the free hand in front of the leg. Maybe we come forward across and we're seeing, can we bring that shoulder inside or maybe the elbow inside of the leg? So it's a little bit deeper. Top hand again reaches up. If you wanted to go straight with weight, you'd hold that hand tall. Eventually you're bringing, without weight, that hand can come over. How much can you use that bottom hand to try to pull that bottom shoulder through? And you're seeing, can the top hand reach up and over? One day that top hand is going to be reaching towards that opposite leg, over. If you could grab the foot, then you'd pull on the foot to help work into the side, to help get even more expansion. So we're opening, creating space in the ribs. Try to look underneath the arm, maybe down towards the leg, underneath the arm to the sky. And then we find our way all the way back up. Let's work the second side. See if we can come across. Top arm is reaching up. So as the hands are swimming in opposite directions. Sometimes I like to have the bottom hand palm up to just pull with the back of the hand. Sometimes palm down, get a better pull on the floor. Top hand is lengthening that side, and you're twisting that bottom shoulder through. So that's where we're going, that bottom shoulder through. It's a little bit deeper than when we've got that hand behind the leg. You see how deep you can reach. If you do manage to reach the foot one day, you pull on the foot, you can bend the arm, but you're trying to move this side spine. So you're seeing, can you move that side spine? Can you open the ribs? You can do that without holding the foot, just reaching the arm where it reaches to. Can you find that extension through the top arm? When you reach through that top arm, does that extend the ribs? Breathing a little, twisting, turning. And then slowly let's find our way all the way back. So we're just going to bring those legs in and see if we can just take a moment to bring the soles of the feet together, to squeeze those outer edges of the feet together. If you want to, let's take a little moment to see if we can find, let's encourage the weight onto a knee if we can. So see if you can find a way to balance your weight on the knee. And then I want you to try to just lean into the opposite hand somewhere behind you and see if you can get that arm extended. You're sort of opening to that inner thigh and trying to lengthen the elbow while still balancing the weight on the knee. And then maybe you can twist towards that opposite knee a little bit more. Or maybe you can come up and try to get both arms extended, one knee weighted, one knee not. If you've got double weights, you could have weights on each knee. For this sort of exercise, heavier weights can be better because the legs are quite strong, lots of connective tissue, lots of power in the legs. So you can just sort of allow that to sort of weigh you down if you can. And then if we're doing one side, let's just work the other side for a moment to see if this feels any different. Supporting that opposite leg somewhere near the knee, seeing if you can lean away and get that arm extending. So maybe when we get that arm extending, there's not even pushing the arm. I'm here, I'm just pinning the weight. Just trying to let both knees hang towards the floor and just leaning into the opposite arm somewhere behind me. And that's getting all of this inner thigh into lower spine, lower side belly to begin to stretch and to open. And that there's just sort of allowing that weight to gently push down. Maybe you could find a twist and turn of the shoulder here, twisting, turning the spine, but trying to keep that arm on the leg gently extended. Maybe you want to come in and encourage both knees down a little before we find our way to put the weight down for a moment and to sit ourselves onto the shins. So we've got our sitting ourselves onto our shins, bottom down towards the heel. And here we've got this standing up on top of the knees. So it's sort of a preparation for camel kind of position. So we're seeing, can we stay backward with the shoulders, upright with the spine as much as we can, so that when we press down through the feet, the action comes through the legs. And can you go slowly? Can you go slowly? Can you go slowly? So where does it become troublesome? And even if it's really tiny, try to watch out for this leaning forward, folding forward at the hips, because we want to try and stay up so that we work the legs a little bit more. We're going to come down. See if you can come down for a count of 10, 9, 8, backward with the shoulders as much as you can, 7, 6, 5, 4, try to lean back with those shoulders, 3, 2, 1, and then rest down. Ooh. So now what we're going to try and do is we're going to see if we can carry a weight. So this is our carrying position, this first place. You're welcome to go silly and go extended if you want to, but we're seeing, this is a good place to really be working the body strong. So here, if you wanted to find a different sense, you might sort of just put the weight on top of the head, because that's also finding that extension through the spine. So you could try to work here, or you could try to work here. So, and here in front of us, carrying the weight in front of us sort of pulls us forward. So that's kind of quite a nice place to be. But you're welcome to see if you can have the weight carried on the head, to see if you can keep that vertical through the spine as much as you can to find your way up and down. And we go one more time. The slower the better, because when you're going slowly, you're really having to work and engage and use those muscles. Slower the better. So if you've got control, time, steadiness, working in to those places. And if the body begins to cramp at all, that's absolutely fine, because that's just a sign that you're working the body really well. So from here, we're going to let go of that weight there. We're going to see, can we bring the knees behind us a little bit? We're just going to see if we can build this strong with the technique. So the elbows are going to be bending, but the chest doesn't come down between the hands. Let's use our weight as a marker. So see if you can if you bring your thumbs either side of the weight, and you can either have the tall bit of the weight up, or you can go down a little bit deeper, so you could have the weight lower down. And you're going to place your hands now where your elbows are. So you mark where the elbows are, you put your hands there. So that weight is quite far in front. And here we're going to see, can we leave our bottom in the air? We want to go stronger. Welcome to lift the knees off the floor, but bottom stays nice and high. Chin, belly long, chin comes down towards the weight. You're seeing, can you be resting there and just try to create that length, shoulders away from the ears. And if that's too deep there, you could find that you can put that weight onto its end, so it's higher up, so you don't have to come down so deep, but you're still trying to relax a long neck. And then we find our way back up, and we don't change the shape of the spine. And if you can come down deeper, you just put that weight a little bit further ahead, so you could see, could you sort of find that you just touch the forehead as you touch the chin to the floor, forehead to the weight. You're still trying to have that long neck as much as you can. And then you can come back up. So when you come down to the bottom, see if you can find that sort of pulling the shoulders away from the neck. So it's all pulling the neck forwards. But otherwise, you're trying to come forward, forward, forward. So if you go far enough forward, those elbows will begin to squeeze into the side because you're coming that far forward, the weight into the hands. Good. Even more forward if you can, Imogen. Oh, or backward with the hands, yeah? Forward, 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 forward. Let's try a couple with the knees up. Now, you might not go down so far, you might get stuck, but see if you can find your way up with the bottom. So it's a bit like a downward dog, but we're not overextending the shoulders. We can go back there when we come backwards. But here we're trying to come forward. So it's like a plank with the bottom in the air. And then you're seeing how far forward could you get the chin? Could you bend the arms a little bit and come back up? Can you keep that shape of the spine? Coming forwards, bending the arms a little bit, come back up. Or could you get all the way down, the same as you did before? Chin towards the weight or chin towards the floor, and then up and back without changing the shape of the spine. So all the time, look forwards towards your weight. All the time, look forwards, 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 sticking the bottom out behind you, and look and watch that weight go further away as you push forwards with the hands to open those shoulders. Look at the weight, look at the weight, look at the weight. Good. And then if you wanted to, with one leg up in the air, you can. A lot of no's going on. Let's see if we can just find our way back down to sitting when we're ready, but extend that top leg, Benny, if you can. Arch it, that's your tail. Scorpion tail, it's going to arch up and over the head. Reach leg long, leg extended if you can. Reach that leg tall. Imagine you're pushing your weight into that leg. Nice. Okay, good. Let's find our way back down to sitting. So, and here we're just going to take a little moment just to let the practice absorb into the body. So find, if you can, a comfortable tall spine. Maybe you want to adjust the buttock flesh so you're grounded through the sit bones. Maybe you want to have a block or your weight underneath your bottom. And then take a few moments to breathe through the nose, to notice which nostril, all those regular things. Which nostril am I breathing? What is the temperature of the breath? How deep is the breath? Am I feeling a little bit breathless? Can you let the breath return back to a natural breath? As the breath becomes more natural, can you feel the breath passing through the nose? As the breath becomes softer, can you still feel? As the breath softens, can you soften the skin? Can you soften the body? So thank you for exploring yoga with weights with me this morning. Hope it's been a good class for you. Yeah.